The fact of the matter is, whether you've been in network marketing for years or just a few days, your family and friends have seen your opportunity and your phone is, as we call it, burnt. If you're anything like me, that's a scary thought. So the big question is, how do entrepreneurs like us, who love the network marketing profession, who no longer want to be that guy, and are tired of convincing people during uncomfortable let's get coffee meetings where they say, what's this all about? How do we market in a way that aligns us with our dream clients and expands our network of upfront and transparent professionals, allowing us to get our time back, our families back, and gain a real passive asset? People like us who value impact over income, we deserve to see our visions once and for all. Join me in this podcast where we'll uncover just how to do that. My name is Eric Sablon. Welcome to Burnt Phone Marketing. Meeting is lead, live streaming, setting up your Facebook meeting. What is going on, guys? We have just dropped this awesome one. This is another interview series, and I just keep trying to find better and better and better people to get on. And today, I actually have a good friend of mine. She was on my podcast before. She's a serial entrepreneur. She's a mom, a wife. She's been in the entrepreneur space for 15 years. She literally fell on network marketing and crushed it. So that's a great story. But what I really want to talk to her about today is she does something called Blitz Promotions, and that's the business that she does. But she always thinks outside the box. And right now, in this time where everybody's going home and literally doing everything from home, like right now we're interviewing. Normally this would be an interview where we go to a studio and record something and do something awesome, but we're at home. So I actually just want to kind of go over a few steps that she's done to launch some very, very cool virtual events. And guys, please welcome Jen to the unlocktheleadmachine.com Facebook group. So she's jumping in.
Good morning, everybody. Thanks, Eric, so much for having me on this rainy day in Anchorage. Yeah, I have been doing marketing for a long time and fell into it, as you said, fell into network marketing and kind of was thrown in the deep end and sink or swim. And I'll always try my best to swim. And then, this pandemic hit and it was kind of like, I was made for this. I've been doing virtual trainings and was very familiar with the virtual world as is. So it was an easier transition for me than I would say a lot of people. The virtual events can always be hit or miss, but hopefully I can give some tips to increase attendance and make it fun, because really, a lot of times we sit in these Zoom meetings and it's like you're staring at a screen and, you're trying not to like touch your face, or you're trying to, have this air of professionalism, and it's like everybody kind of goes, oh, another Zoom, right? We're at that point. We've been doing them for a long time. And so it's like, how do you keep that fresh? How do you keep that exciting? So a lot of times, setting up a virtual event, make sure that you walk in with a specific intention. And this is important, I think, whenever you're organizing any event. What is the intention of this event? Why am I doing this? Why do it? And so it's important to focus on why you're doing it, and then who to invite. Virtual events aren't that different from in-person events. It's just the space that it's being held is different. So in a real life event, you're going to invite people who align with your intention and who can help you get to the goal that you're after. So, you got to think about, who do I want in this room? Who's going to vibe together really well? And it is a little different virtually because, in a real life event, you have some wallflowers, or you have, some of us who are more like, we're going to talk to every single person in that room. And And so virtually it's a little different because we're all a bunch of little boxes, or, you know, maybe it's someone engaging on a screen to an audience at home. And so you really got to think about who's in that room, who are you inviting, and do they align with your intention? So once you've got an invite list and you have your intention, then it's really a matter of thinking, how can I make this fun or different? And make people feel included, right? Because this is already awkward for some of us. And I'll tell you a real quick little story about, you know, I'm not saying this is everyone in the older generation by any means, but for us, we grew up in a time of the AOL, you know, the instant messenger. Like we've grown up with this technology. And so for a lot of us to transition into a virtual space isn't that difficult. But for some of the older generations who maybe didn't grow up that way, there's a big learning curve. So when you're planning a virtual event, make sure that everyone can be on the same page as far as knowing how to log in, how to do audio. I mean, you and I, right before, I was like, where's my sound? You know, I got on a couple of minutes, I'm like, I can't hear you. My lighting was terrible. And it's like, I got 5 minutes to figure this out. So, you know, technology always has its added surprises. But just like any event, you know, just be prepared and make sure that your guests know what to expect when they log on. What's the process going to look like? Because if they can walk in without that anxiety of, oh, this is new and this is a different technology, or this is scary, then your guests are walking in with a good, positive feel for your event right from the get-go. If it's easy, you know, versus like frustration and going, I'm just not going to go, right? Forget this, because we're all kind of teetering on that edge of like, it just takes that stub toe to put me over the edge today. You know, we're all kind of like already on edge. So the easier we can make life for our guests, you know, the better, obviously. And then once they're there, you know, greet everyone. It's always nice to do a little icebreaker, or a check-in, you know, hey, I like to do some either what's one thing that you've accomplished this week, or what's something that you've overcome this week, or what's been a highlight. Little things like that can get everyone talking and make everyone feel included, not just the presenter or, you know, whoever's the speaker. So I think it's super important to engage. And get your guests engaged as well. And so, you know, there's lots of fun things you can do. There's so many programs out there. You can do pop-up graphics and animations and all those kinds of things. But really, it's just like any network marketing thing. Connecting to your audience, connecting to your attendees is the main goal. And then, you know, helping them to align with whatever your intention is for that event. So
nice. So I'm actually going to step back because I didn't do that on this live. So guys, if you're coming in live, hashtag live. Boom, we forgot to do that. If you're coming in on the replay, hashtag replay. And then always, we like to actually link where you're coming in from, where you're calling from. So guys, I've done this a lot and I forgot. So just so you guys know, like when technology has its issues, you're kind of like, oh my goodness, what am I going to do? How am I going to get over this? But guys, just know that once you do a couple of them, once you get going, the Zooms and the virtual events are going to be so much easier to do. And I like what you said. You know, one thing that a lot of people don't understand is like, if it's virtual, the specific intentions, like why are you doing it and who are you doing it for? And that's, I would rather have a group of 10 people on my Zoom that understand what I'm doing and why they're here than 100 people that 7 people in the room know why they're here and the rest are not even paying attention at all.
Absolutely. And I mean, I have 2 to 3 Zooms a day probably that I'm doing for various, you know, with my kids or businesses or whatever it is. And the ones that are 5 to 7 people or 10 and under, like you said, are so much more productive than the ones that have over 100, because it's difficult. I mean, 100 people in a room, it's difficult enough to, as an individual or as a host or hostess, it's hard to connect with 100 people versus then I can do that all day, because then I can address the individual person, hear their concerns, hear their advice, whatever it is, just be more engaged with a much smaller group. So, bigger isn't always better when it comes to Zooms. That's for sure.
Right, right. And so just to kind of step back, do you have any suggestions on technology? Like a certain, I mean, I use Zoom all the time, but do you have a certain technology, maybe, Zoom, I've seen StreamYard and, if you clicked on, guys, if you've clicked on Zoom, you're going to get every single, in your Facebook page, you're going to get every single streaming option out there. So, like, do you suggest any of them? Because I'm going to step back because you've actually had an event, almost like a town hall meeting event that you created a while ago. And how did you? That was a 6 hour meeting, right? 6 hours.
It was a few hours, yeah. So I love Zoom. I do love the platform. It's been pretty easy. I've used the Google, is it Rooms? No, Google
Hangout.
Hangout. There's so many now. Like you said, there's just, everybody's got one. I've used that one and it was okay. Connectivity seemed to be a little bit of an issue with that one for whatever reason. But StreamYard is the one that we used for that specific event. And I'll tell you why I love that. You can play with how many people are on the screen at one time. You can have a running banner of text at the bottom. You can share your screen or apply graphics. There was a lot of different things, a lot of different moving pieces, and yet it was really simple to use. So I found that one to be really good, particularly for that specific event, because, we wanted to basically become a resource for the community when the pandemic first started. Where can people go for testing? Where can people go if they need help with rent? Where can people go if their kids need extra food? And so having the text running, or having a graphic that we could show as we were talking, was really, really helpful. And I know you can share screen on here, but this really streamlined it and made it look really professional. Really professional. And, for us not really knowing what we're doing, it turned out really, really well. Yeah.
That's super cool. That's super cool. And then you also said keep it fun and different. Like, if you're doing an event, you want to keep it fun. A lot of times, you don't want to have people sleeping at your event. This is even harder because now if I'm bored, I can just turn off my mic and turn off my video, and guess what? You don't know if I'm there or not. Honestly, 9 times out of 10, I'm in a mastermind where you have to have your camera and your mic on, or at least your camera, while they're presenting, because they say that keeps you 100% present. What would you suggest to the audience, like if they're doing a Zoom, like to keep it fun? I mean, what are a couple of things that you do?
It's like any party. Again, you're just taking it to a different space. So themes are really fun. Like any trainings that you might have, if you have a team that you're working with, or a business group, have a theme. Onesies. We're all in our pajamas most of the time, right? I got dressed today because I knew I was doing this, but a lot of us are living in our pajamas. So why not have it be a theme? You could dress in onesies, or, I've seen some of my team do like superheroes or villains or something. It's just like a regular party. A theme always kind of elevates everyone's attention span, like, what are they dressed as, or what's their onesie, or what. Sometimes it's like, have a super fun cup, everybody, bring a special coffee cup, and everybody gets to talk about it. And it goes to that engagement, because any event, you want to be engaged, because if somebody feels like you're connecting with them and engaging with them, then they're going to want to come back again, or they're going to want to take an extra interest in whatever your intention that you've laid out. They're going to go, okay, I'm going to connect to this better because I'm having a great time. I'm being asked, to engage and pay attention and have fun. So I think, themes are always great. Games are always fun. You could do a quick, like, bingo, like Zoom bingo, you know, who did someone touch their face, or, you know, who's someone wearing glasses, or did someone fall asleep, or, you know, I think I think those kinds of things are always fun, and sometimes it sounds like, well, not juvenile, but you're like, but this is business, right? Oh, but we're doing the business. There are no rules in this pandemic, right? We're all just trying to survive. We're all trying to thrive. So if you want to have a little fun and lighten somebody's spirits, and you know, do something happy, you know, make people happy. I think that's business too. That's what we do. We network, and, you know, we leave people feeling better than before we talked to them or before we met them, right? That's always the goal. You want to be remembered as someone who's lifting others up. So I think a little fun and silliness is always great.
All right. Yeah. So, what? I'm gonna look at the chat real quick to see if there's any questions. Does anyone have any like questions that they're struggling with?
Yes. Yes.
Not yet. Not yet. But guys, if you have any questions that you're struggling with on how to do Zoom, I'm actually gonna ask you to kind of run through like a checklist of the things that you do, like an email sequence or a messenger sequence or whatever you do to make sure that they understand. And I love the analogy that you put, because I actually was at an event with a lady that is a nurse, and she says, you know, 70% of the things she does is via Zoom. And she goes, you would be amazed at how long the setup process takes for a new patient to understand Zoom. Like, they don't know their mic is going on. She's like, I have people call me from the car trying to do a medical appointment. It's like, look, you're not 100% there. Like, what, I can't help you. She's like, I can't help you. So what would be some of the, like, the tips that you would give the audience that's running a Zoom to, you know, pre-frame the audience, not only for what we're going to talk about and what we're going to go over, but also pre-frame the audience to be mentally there and in a space where they're going to be able to intake the information and use the information.
Yeah. So
So
I think it's really important, you know, just again, virtual events, if you think of them as like a regular party or an event, you want to follow up and make sure who's attending, you know, give that reminder, because there's a lot of us who are really busy and need that little reminder. So I think a reminder email, I would say email. This might be a little long text, but if you can do a reminder email that kind of lists, hey, here is what our intention is for this meeting. Maybe here's why I chose to invite you. I think you're an important part of this. Listing out kind of general Zoom directions. You know, for those of you who are unfamiliar, here's how you log in, you know, having a contact in case there are issues going on. I think that's really important. And if, let's say I'm not hosting, but I'm helping another person or business to host, I send them like a host checklist, almost like I would if I was doing a home party or, you know, something else. I would say, here's kind of, take your ownership of this meeting. You check in with your guests. You make sure they know how to do Zoom. You know, here's some great questions, or let's say things get quiet, you know, what do you do? And so I like to just have some tips for everyone so that they have the best event that they possibly can. And so if you're informing people ahead of time and they have a heads up, it makes things a lot more smooth than, I will say one of the first ones I did with, it was mostly an older population, and I was on the phone for a half hour with these different individuals, like, okay, you got to do this. Okay, but you have to make sure that you start the video, and you know, just making sure that everyone knew what to do. So I think having those steps laid out, it's not because they weren't intelligent people, they just hadn't done it before. And if you're walking into something 5 minutes before and you're trying to, you know, connect real quick, it's like, that might not work out so well. And then I always like to do, you know, give them a greeting to greet everybody. And it's kind of like not quite a script, but just some pointers so that the host is feeling good about what they're about to do. And then I always like to do a follow-up as well. Follow up with your guests. I mean, we all know follow up, follow up, follow up. It's key with our customers, clients, anyone, attendees. Follow up and see, how did you feel? Did you get, did you understand what we were doing? Do you want to continue on this, whatever, towards my goal? Or just getting feedback, I think, really helps. It's just like, gosh, the first time you do a live and you're like, oh, I don't want to stare at myself. And, you're so nervous and it's like you fumble through it. Well, by the third, fourth time you do it, you're like, okay, I got this, right? And it just continues to get better and better. So, don't be scared of Zoom or hosting on Zoom or in a virtual space. The first time may be an absolute disaster, but you'll learn from it and you'll know to do better next time. So yeah, hopefully, everyone got a few tips that might help their next event, or they can always message me,
I got some tips. I wonder, so I got a quick question. Would you, do you have that email, like a checklist email?
Mm-hmm.
You have that made?
Mm-hmm.
All right, guys. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to try to get the email from her and then I'll put it on the Google document so that way we can share it. But if you want that, if that makes sense, if pre-framing your guests makes sense, hashtag Zoom in the comments. And what we'll do is we'll actually send you the link so that way you can get that information. Like, how many of you guys have been to that where it's like, you think about this, guys. I just want you to think about this. Just like now, you ran out of the bathroom to jump on the Zoom. Like, you didn't drive anywhere, you didn't do anything. That's exactly what your guests are doing. Totally what your guests are doing. They're literally coming in and they're doing that. So if you pre-frame them with a checklist, you're gonna, the amount of the friction that people get in is gonna be so much better. And then they're gonna feel comfortable. It's like when you go to an event and you feel comfortable, you can absorb the information. But if you're like, I lost my pen, I couldn't find a parking spot, I ran in here, my badge doesn't work, blah, blah, blah. That's exactly what people are getting when they're going to Zoom. Just think of it. That's exactly what, and like Jen said, like a lot of times if your badge doesn't work, all of a sudden you click done. That meeting wasn't working, I'm out. So pre-frame the checklist so that way people can get the information. So yeah, we'll send that to you guys. So just hashtag Zoom and we will get you a checklist that will pre-frame people to get into your emails. And what's cool is you can, if you're doing a lot of Zooms, you can actually set that up inside your Zoom, literally with the invite. Guys, the key is to make it easy on your clients and your customers and the people that you want to present to. And then the greeting, I love what you said, there's a greeting. So there's a script. You open up the meeting so people understand what's going and what to expect. And then the follow-up, guys. The fortune is in the follow-up. If anyone of you guys have been in sales, the fortune is in the follow-up. And one thing that Jen said that I really liked is get feedback from the people. What did you like about the course? What didn't you like about the course? What was the issues? Like, we built this course, the course that you guys are in, we built, and we asked questions on why, and we fixed stuff as we went through. So just always be taking feedback from your clients and your possible customers. So those are some bombs. Those are some... So we talked about being specific with your intentions. We talked about keeping it fun. We talked about the expectations. We talked about a checklist and the greeting and the follow-up. Is there anything like that that is like the home run that hits the ball out of the park that you always do? And I'm not going to do just a virtual event because I know that you plan events. Like Jen plans events. She like plans events, like real ones. And with what's going on, it's totally different where you can't do it now. But what's the one thing that you always do that just, that like crushes it like at your events?
Ooh, that's a good one. That's a good question. Well, I think for me specifically, it's whenever I'm hosting or anytime I'm planning an event, I make sure the host, again, tries to connect with as many people as possible, make them feel seen, make them feel heard, touch base with them, because nothing is worse than going to a party or event or virtual meeting and never being acknowledged, right? Mm-hmm. Just sitting there and never even being acknowledged that you took your time, because all of our time is valuable. Time is money for all of us. And so nothing is worse than not being acknowledged. So I try to always connect with as many people as possible, work the room, even if it's a virtual room, and just make sure that every person is seen and heard at least once. I think that ensures that those who maybe aren't as outgoing feel more comfortable, and then they will step out of their bounds and connect with another person. And, we talk a lot about being connectors. And so I always like to not just see and hear, but also try and connect the people in the room. Oh, I know so-and-so's looking for a roofer. Johnny happens to be a roofer. Let me connect you to. And it's giving value, whether that's someone walks away with a warm fuzzy of, man, I was so glad that Jen took the time to say hi to me and ask me about my day, or, hey, I stepped out of that meeting and I found my plumber, yay, our house isn't gonna, float away. So I think really it's the basics of connection and, like you said, follow up. And people, I think, are feeling really vulnerable right now. And I know there's a lot of sadness and heartache right now. And so I think really seeing people and, letting them know that you're there, you see them, you're connecting with them, I think that's invaluable. And that really takes any event from, like, we're all just kind of sitting here with our drinks and staring at people and not really doing anything, to getting those people to interweave and connect and move together. I mean, you can't go wrong at a good party if everyone is, making new friends, right?
So yeah, that's a huge, that guys, like, even in your events, even in your virtual events, like our front man, his name is Fabian, and he always every day we do a day pass, well, not a day pass, every day we do a master class. And one thing that's cool about Fabian is every time he goes into the meeting, he'll always acknowledge everyone on the Zoom. And if it takes 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever, he will acknowledge everyone on the Zoom. And I suggest that you guys do the same thing, but also what he does is he knows a lot of the people, so he'll tell people to connect. Exactly what you said. I mean, it's on point, like totally on point for connecting people. And he always talks about, like, I don't know if I'm going to do the warm and fuzzy, or I'm going to do the good coach, bad coach, whatever. All I know is I'm here to support you and help you. So like all the things that you talked about, like he does that every single day on our mastermind call. So big shout out to Fabian. Like he actually put on here, your framework is on point. So yeah, he totally does that. So the last thing, is, where can, you're already in the group. I tagged you, so people can find you and do a little bit more with the with all of your businesses. So this is a group of all network marketers or affiliate marketers, and they all either are part of our program or are looking at our coaching program, and it's just amazing. What besides the email template that I'm going to borrow from you, is there anything that you want them to do, like shoot to your website, shoot to anything? I mean, anything. Is there anything? There's 520 people in, or 500 some people in here, so here's the chance to, like, get the call to action, or send me a link, or tell me where to send people to connect with you.
Yeah, absolutely. You can go ahead and check out my site on Facebook. Look up Blitz Promotions. I also sell dry nail polish. I don't know if you can see Color Street.
Shine bright.
So that's who I work with. I train a lot of people, but really, I found that I'm great at problem solving. So if you're having some issues, whether it's Zoom or, events may be what I have a lot of experience in, but I also do a lot of marketing. But I'm a problem solver. So if you're having problems in your business, sometimes our emotions get so strong that we lose track of our intention and what our goals are. And so sometimes it's nice. It's a little different from coaching. I'm not going to walk you through everything. I'm going to come in there and break up whatever problem you have and keep you moving on your path. So it's kind of like you go into the doc and the doc gives you meds, and I'm going to fix your problem and then send you on your way. Because I have a whole team to coach. So, but I do love helping, if you have a specific problem, whatever it is, maybe you're in a funk, maybe you're not sure, because a lot of us can't do events. How do I get my business out there in a different way? Or how can I specialize in this avenue or find new customers or clients, or I'm stuck, I'm not strong in lives and a lot's going virtual. How can I get better at lives? So whatever problems, please reach out and message me. I told Eric I would offer, I usually go by the hour. I would offer a free 30 minutes for anyone from this group coming in if they should choose to book. And we'll get you moving. We'll get everybody moving, because your success only makes my success better. And, when we're all succeeding, we all rise to a whole new level. So.
Okay, so here's my call to action. So if you want to take Jen up on this offer, you're going to hashtag problems. And what you have to do after the call, once you talk to her, you have to go to Blitz Promotions and write a review on how important it was that she helped your problem. So that's all. I mean, she's giving you 30 minutes. All you got to do is write that. So it's hashtag problems, and we will hook you up with what Jen has. And like I said, we will also, if you do hashtag Zoom, we'll get you the checklist. And guys, I appreciate you. Jen, thanks. We're coming up at the top, the middle of the hour. So 30 minutes, we're in, we're out. This was a blast. I'm going to stop the video right now. I'm going to stop the live, and we can just stay on and chat for a little while. Sorry, guys, you can't be in that room. Are you tired of those lame Facebook groups that provide no value? Well, our Facebook group is awesome. Go to unlockthefbgroup.com and get access to our Facebook group, where you will be able to find interviews of top network marketers and Q&As where you can jump in and talk to them live. We also have massive training. We provide a bunch of free tools. So jump into that group. Again, that's unlockthefbgroup.com. We'll ask you a few questions in mini chat, because that's what we do, and make sure that you're not a spammer and get you into the group right away. So again, go to unlockthefbgroup.com and don't be a spammer.